Hello, wildlings. It's great to be back with everyone in our Hot Bites Winter Lunch and Learn series. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. We are very excited to be able to bring you the second part of this two-part workshop discussing how to remodel project workflows and make the successful transition from paper to cloud-based environmental compliance automation platform like Wildnote. In part one, we talked about the methodologies to help you evaluate whether or not your company is ready to make the transition. How do you know when the time is right? At Wildnote, we developed a self-assessment tool you can use to score yourself and quantify readiness. Today, we are going to talk about the next steps and how to successfully make that transition once you have determined you're ready. I'm the host, Kristen Hazard, founder and CEO of Wildnote. I'm going to do the quick housekeeping now. If you haven't already done so, please go to the chat window below and use the link to download our T.I.M.E workbook so you can follow along and take notes and get the most out of today. If you have technical questions or need help during the webinar, please use the Q&A window. All right, so what is Wildnote? Wildnote is an environmental compliance automation platform built specifically for managing the environmental compliance process, the good work you all do. This includes data collection, data management, reporting, and workflow. It's so much more than just moving paper processes into a computer. It's about remodeling your workflow to take advantage of the 40 to 80% efficiency gains. Our goal is for this workshop to help you understand and get comfortable with the steps involved in making a successful transition from paper to digital. Regardless of where you are in your journey or how big or small your project team might be, following an organized framework for remodeling your project workflow is key to the success. That remodeling process is encompassed in a framework that we call T.I.M.E, T-I-M-E. And who I have with me today is Rini Punzi, the creator of the T.I.M.E framework. Welcome, Rini.
Thank you.
And I also have, as usual, our Director of Customer Success, Nancy Douglas. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Both Rini and Nancy have extensive experience in helping hundreds of companies successfully transition more than 1,500 projects and compliance automation project workflows. So take it away, Rini.
Great. Thank you so much, Kristen. And thanks for setting up this opportunity to help us help our peoples. So I'm going to share my screen and get started on this framework. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will start with a little housekeeping of my own. I put this address in the chat, but if you didn't see it, this is where the workbook is. go.wildnoteapp.com/time-workbook. You can download it now and follow along as we go, or you can fill it out later, or just use it whenever you like for reference material. So what is the T.I.M.E framework? After working with hundreds of customers and probably thousands of projects, we've refined the process it takes to successfully go from paper to digital. And like Kristen was saying, it doesn't really matter where you are on your journey from paper to digital. If you have a tried and true process, it's going to make that next step more effective no matter what. So if you're a leader and you want to get your team on board, a way for everybody to look at what the next steps are is going to be imperative so that you can all jump in together. If you're a curious environmental scientist, just starting the exploration, this will give you a good idea of the steps involved. And then if you're a team like ready to jump in, ready to go, this gets you all on the same page at the same time. So our promise to you is that if you give us half a day to go through this process thoroughly, so today we're going to take a peek at it, but Nancy and our success team will work with you hand in hand. If you give us a half a day, we will give you back a day a week. That's a day a week. Pretty big promise, but it's a proven process, and I can't wait to share it with you. So think about this. Everyone knows that making a change, taking a digital leap can seem daunting, but don't worry. This T.I.M.E workbook will be like a lifeboat, and you have our team to hold your hand when you jump in the water. So let's get started. The first step, T, is for take a step back. What that means is we're going to begin with the end in mind. We're going to look at your current process and look for leaks. Where are you losing time? For example, we will look at your current reports. Who needs the reports? What format do they need? You can write this down, like I said, as we go. This workbook has blocks for you to write in. What data do you need from the field? Are you currently using paper? Is it structured or not? Are you just taking notes in your field book? What can you complete ahead of time? You're going to have the opportunity to fill in default answers, and Nancy will tell you about that. But basically, how can you improve the way that you're collecting data? And sometimes just looking at and asking the questions puts you a step closer. Photos. Here is a huge leak that people often don't think about. People are so used to just taking photos and then going through them later and pulling them into the reports. Well, with a digital process, you can include those photos in context with the text. No more taking time to figure out what photo goes where, when it was taken, how do I bring that into my report? It's already there. And then we'll look at your workflow. What order do you collect the data in? Is there a more efficient way? Is there data perhaps that you're collecting and you don't even need? So think of it like moving into a new house. You want to take all your favorite possessions, but you don't need to take all the extra baggage. So this is a great time to look at what are your favorite possessions, what's working for you, and what's slowing you down.
You know, Rini, we've had an opportunity to work, as you mentioned, with a lot of different companies, helping them transition in all stages, really. Companies that want to have a framework like this for all of their projects, to companies that have a project that right now needs to have a solution that that works very quickly and helps them get online really quickly. And it comes to, I'm thinking of, in particular about a couple of years ago working with AECOM on a really big desal plant project where there were a lot of environmental measures that had to be taken into account. There was a big, thick book, and I'm sure most of you on this call, I think Matthew, you're on the call with High Speed Rail, and Sarah as well, who works with that. You guys have a lot of things that you guys have to track, right? And so it's pretty hard to do that with the old methodology, but in adopting a platform like Wildnote that makes that possible. So we were able to take a dive in with AECOM, and as Rini referenced, hand-holding, and really convert all of those measures into a very streamlined checklist format. Integrate photos right into that, integrate your lat longs right into that, and through the process of working together, also streamline their reporting so that they knew they had to be reporting to the CPUC, and they knew that they had to have reporting that turned around on a dime because of all of the public eyes that were on the project. So tying that all together, we were able to start with that and then build backwards and create a process by which they can get all their data into the system. So it was through that we deconstructed everything that you're talking about in the take a step back, and then put it together for them so that they, out of the gate, had a successful process in place for this particular project.
So in that situation, Nancy, it sounds like the take the step back was really studying the permit conditions. Is that right? And really translating, almost straight up translating the permit conditions to something workable in terms of survey forms, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then building out those survey forms in a logical way that would work for the reporting at the end.
Right. And so that's one way, and we see people doing a take the step back. And then in other ways, there may not be a large compliance project sort of facing you, but there may be smaller projects or ongoing sorts of things that you do in your company. And a way to take the step back is to say, do I already have PDF type fillable paper forms already designed, right? So that's another way a person can take a step back to figure out how to move from paper to digital.
That's very, very true. And also, I think the process that can be useful when you work with a team like ours is that we've talked about this before in other lunch and learns, not just putting paper on glass, but really thinking about the process in the way that you collect the data, as Rini references in the T.I.M.E workbook, the workflow, right? So how do you nail that and possibly change your workflow to gain even more efficiency, because now you have a tool that's different than what you had before?
That's a great point. Do we get to the paper on glass later, Rini, or is that?
This is it. This is a great time to talk about that.
Awesome. We can credit where credit's due. The great Chris, who
Webster,
taught us, the
yeah.
great Chris Webster, who taught us about don't just put paper on glass, meaning don't take your straight up paper forms that you've been working on your clipboard for years and years and translate them exactly to the digital. There's so much more that can be done. And especially when thinking about the reporting at the end, you want to not just do that straight one-to-one translation, basically.
That's so true. Hey, Nancy, so we talked about the CalAM project that was a success, but have we ever worked with somebody that's been a challenge, like somebody that's possibly been prevented from taking that step back, and what were the consequences?
Well, what comes to mind is a recent company that joined us, Surf to Snow down in San Diego, and they're working on some stuff having to do with fire right now, and their customer, they have been having to take a step back at various points in their journey because they didn't have everything they needed at the very beginning of the process. And the great thing about that has been that because they're using digital, they're able to very quickly modify what they're doing. And so that's been a really, it's been challenging, but also those challenges are easily resolved in this environment. So that part's been great as well. We'll talk a little bit more about them later.
All right.
One of the things, Rini, one of the things I was going to say, just sort of in light of that, is that the pivotal thing with Surf to Snow and their ability to really iterate on their process is that they have a leader that's committed to actually making this flow work, and they're invested.
That's a great segue to our next step, which is I implement. So what does it take to implement a successful project? This is actually, to me, this is the fun part, right? This is when you start bringing all the pieces together and make it happen. So we have found that the most successful conversion projects have a few key ingredients. First of all, you need a leader. You need somebody who understands that the change to digital will take effort, but the gains in efficiency will be immense. Somebody that instills trust in his team. They know that he will stand behind them, or she. So you need a leader with a vision and the fortitude to allow his team to go forward. You need a techie. So this techie doesn't have to be a GIS expert, but they need to be comfortable with technology, and they need to know how to run a project, right? A good project manager. And you need a team. You need a team that has the trust of their leader and is given the amount of time it takes to get over the hurdle. And then you need to consider what project is going to be best for your first implementation. So we find that Wildnote is most effective when you have a lot of data, a lot of reports, a lot of eyes on the project, right? A lot of interested stakeholders. At the same time, it's great if you can start off with a project that is digestible, one that is small enough and short enough that it can be tested in a short period of time and do those iterations that we were alluding to. So we'll help you consider your projects and which one would be the best one to start with. And then you need to consider your devices. Do you want to use phones? Do you want to use tablets? Do you want to use iOS, Android? Do you need a GNSS device for sub-meter accuracy? So we can help you think through all that as well.
Renee, I was thinking about the project, since we're so focused on compliance and compliance tracking, a great project actually is the pre-construction surveys that are needed to be done prior to getting the permit conditions to then, doing the active construction compliance, because it's a little bit lower key, right? And so you can kind of like ramp up your team that way and get people trained. And then you have all that data in the same single source of truth as the platform that you'll be using to track compliance later.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, you maybe even think of a step before that. Several folks have used Wildnote in the bidding process. So they imagine what their project is going to be like. They get it closed and they show those final reports to their potential clients.
Right.
And this is one of them projects. So that could be like a pre project. So Kristen, you love basketball, right?
Yep. You know it.
So what I'm getting at here is you need all these players on the court. You need the leader, the techie, the team, you need the right project, you need the right devices, all these things working together to make a slam dunk the first time out. And you might not get that slam dunk, but you have a better chance. And every time you go out, you're going to have a recipe for success.
I think that's a great analogy, Rini. And also, I want to say this, and this is not my Debbie Downer moment, but I want to say that the other thing is managing expectations around the process of transition. It can be messy and it can be imperfect. And that goes back to the leader part of this. It makes me think about a company that we have using the platform that's a mitigation banking company called Falling Springs. And this was a case where the leader really shined. The leader could see the vision and also the direction. Everyone who's on this call, and I know we have some of current customers on the call, but I think most of you are not. You're here for a reason, right? You're trying to figure out when's the time to actually do this. And this gentleman really had the vision, and he understood that digital was here and it wasn't going away. And the faster that his team could adopt it, the faster that they were going to be successful in so many levels of their company. And his field team was pretty reluctant. They had a way of doing it, that bunch of botanists, and botany is hard, and there's a really specific pattern that botanists use when they're out doing assessments in the field, and it's difficult to change to a digital situation. So we really worked with them to create the right forms and the right setup for them to be successful in the field. And then even better than that, this amazing export, the report, what they were generating from all their data collection. Guess what? Year one was messy. Year one was not massive efficiency gains in the field. Year one was about knowing the long trajectory and that they were actually going to reap the benefits of creating the structure, but it wasn't going to be immediate. And that was really interesting. I think Kristen worked on that project as well. And it was really interesting to see that it was very iterative over time, and this long-term restoration project. And after year one, man, it was crazy how fast they were able to ramp up in year two. And then they had all their data in one spot that they compare year over year. So it was very, very powerful. But I just want to set expectations that when you have the right team together, this stuff can happen. And eventually it will become very easy. But at the beginning, it can feel a little bumpy.
I love that story, Nancy, because it actually aligns with the type of work they do, right? In mitigation banking, year one is not the guarantee, right? You're just starting to measure, plant new plants, clear out where you need to clear out. It's a marathon. So that was an interesting parallel to that analogy of the project as well as the actual work they were doing.
One of the things that we've noticed is the first time folks go out to actually use one of these devices to collect data, it feels and it does take longer than if they were collecting the data on paper. And the people feel a lot of pressure around, oh no, this is actually taking me longer. This is decreasing my efficiency. And what we've seen is that first, it will be shorter and shorter once you get used to the digital device and actually collecting the data on the digital device. But also the efficiency gained in the data management and the actual reporting so outweigh any little baby bit of increase that may happen while out in the field. And that's where the leader can really shine, is in giving permission to the folks going out into the field the first time. It might take a little bit longer. Don't freak out. It will get better. And the efficiencies will be so much better down the life cycle of the compliance.
Yeah, and that's why it's a compliance automation platform, right? Because it's not just about data collection here. This is about the actual end result, because really it's about who do you have to satisfy as your customer, and what kind of data do you have to get to them in order to make sure that everyone is in compliance. So, yeah.
So true. Okay, so we got the team in a line, getting ready for implementation. They go out on their first project. And then the next step is measure. What went well? What didn't go well? How are you going to improve the next time out? Specifically on the workflow, did the survey work well? Do you need to add or remove questions? Do you need to reorder them? Do you need to pull them apart into do different surveys? We'll help you look at that. And on the export side, so like Nancy was saying, it's not just data collection, it goes through the data management, processing, and QA, and then data reports. So on the reporting, are you happy with the export? Do you need to adjust the headers and footers? There's all kinds of things we can adjust. Do you need additional exports? And then photo logs. Which photo log suits your client's need the best? Do you need to bulk download the photos and rename them? What else can you benefit? Do you want to exclude some photos from your photo logs? We can help you with all that. And then the team, most importantly, the team. Get the feedback from all the members. What did they love? And more importantly, what did they not love? Where can you improve? How can you make this more efficient and get rid of even more leaks? So this type of measurement and reiteration, think of it more like a health plan than a post-mortem. So in other words, we're not just going to say what went wrong and leave it at that, right? We're going to keep putting into improvements as we go along. Each completed workflow gives you a chance to really improve the health of the project.
You know, thinking about checking in with the team, what they love and what things need improvement, I've seen the value in that over and over again with our customers. When they listen to the people in the field and you get buy-in from the folks who are actually doing that work of the data collection, and also listening to the people who are having to generate these reports, because I know all of you have had that sticky, you know, like long into the night hours of formatting your Word reports to get those out the next morning, your deliverables. I've just really, where I've seen the value come through is in the relationships that we build, and in checking in with us too, like, you know, here's what we're hearing from our team in the field. Here's what we're hearing from our project managers. Is there anything you guys can offer that would be helpful in this? And I'll tell you what, folks, 9 times out of 10, there's some kind of part of our platform that actually can massively improve what you're doing in that process. So please, if you do adopt something like this, check in and ask those questions back to this team as well. Thinking about Surf to Snow, again, this company down south, they had a really short window. They basically won the contract and had to be out collecting data within about 3 days. They received a data sheet from their customers saying, here's what we think we need to collect. And we put that together for them. They didn't have everything that they needed. And then the leader of that group was in close contact with her team, and they were able to say, hey, could you turn this question into a checklist, a drop down? Could you add a default value in here? We don't want to have to type it over and over again. Could you rearrange the questions? Because, you know, what we're doing is we're doing this step first and this step next. So it'd be really nice to have those questions at the top. So over the course of about, I would say 2 weeks, we were able to riff on that to the point where it's very smooth now. And what's great is on the reporting side, those changes have impacted the report in a positive way as well, so that the customer is extremely happy with the report that they're getting. And it's a 3-click report. It is literally a 3-click report where a survey PDF with integrated photos is generated for the output. So it's been great to watch their process and to see the way that they've all worked together to make this positive, rather than being feeling like you couldn't affect change or you couldn't do it fast enough. So that's been really cool, very gratifying.
Other pretty cool thing about that is then they can leverage all of that onto any next project that comes. And they don't have to go through that again.
Nope.
It's like that part's done and you can leverage into this massive efficiency gain.
That's so true. That's so true, including copying those existing, you know, if you have
Exactly.
another project that's similar, you can just copy that entire structure
Mhm.
and then change only the little bits that you need to. So yeah, I think that is a really powerful part of going digital.
And that's a great segue to our last step, which is enhance. This is Kristen's favorite part: enhance, expand, and enjoy. So just exactly what you guys were talking about. You want to build on that first successful implementation. You want to look for ways to enhance the experience and expand it to new teams, new projects, maybe even new offices within your organization. And based on the feedback, where can you continue to improve the process and deliverables? And of course, enjoy the cost savings, your satisfied clients, and the extra time you saved. You can think of it kind of like a recipe, right? So we have our base recipe. We have mac and cheese. Everybody's happy. Everybody's fed. But how do you improve that mac and cheese? Everybody knows that bacon helps the mac and cheese. So whatever you want to, however you want to adjust your recipe, make it fit each project, and you know that you have a solid base that you're starting from.
That was Reenie's secret ingredient when she won the Wildnote mac and cheese bake-off, okay?
True story. That's a true story. You know, Reenie, I know some of the people on this call have been regular attendees, and they've met Marissa Ishimatsu from WRA a couple of times, but boy, talk about the person who has enhanced and expanded the use of this tool. And there's other companies that have done this as well, and other people, but she has taken a platform like this, and Kristen had the brains to build a platform that you can expand on and use in so many different ways. And it's hard to support that because we never know what people are going to do. So we never know which ways they're going to break things that we get to fix, which is actually kind of exciting when that happens. And so Marissa has co-opted the platform as a timesheet platform. We have a couple other customers who are using it for timesheets as well, for time tracking. She's co-opted it to track all of the resumes for all of her staff biologists and subcontractor biologists, so that when she has to put together a contract, she can quickly go and find everyone who has the right qualifications through our extensive search capabilities. We have a great new feature that just came out where you can search for question answers and then actually quickly generate a surveyed PDF report, i.e. these resumes that only include the information that you want. So it's just super fast, super efficient, and it is a joy to watch all of the different ways that she comes up with how to do it. Cogstone, one of our companies who's working down on the border wall project, was very, very quick to come up with using Wildnote to track COVID, a daily COVID report basically for all of their people that were out in the field. So they quickly put that together. So people have to fill that out every day and sign it that they're healthy and well to work. So lots of different ways that you can expand the use of a tool like this. And really the point of that is so that it's negative pennies on the dollar. When you look at the licensing costs, you can really use this in a way that is returns such great investment to your company that it's definitely very powerful that way.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Nancy. So that's it. It's about time. And if you're ready to save an extra day a week, we'd love to talk to you. Our customers are literally saying that Wildnote has revolutionized the way that they do their work. We would love to help you revolutionize the way that you're doing your work as well. So here's the URL one more time for the T.I.M.E workbook at the top here. And you can also go to our website or contact any of us, throw something in the chat. We can't wait to talk to you. This is a great process. So do you have any questions?
Okay, let me thank you for that, Reenie. And I'm going to do a couple things here. First, I'm going to talk about our next Lunch and Learn. And I am extremely excited about this. One of the dreams of Wildnote is really to truly connect the regulators and the regulated. And it's a bit of a, it's a long-term dream, right? And we want to make it more efficient, and we want to get the communication going between the regulators and the regulated. And so we're trying to bring together you as the experts and the regulators as the experts to start talking about how can that happen? Would it be something like an agency portal where you can publish your reports on Wildnote, and when the regulators log in, that's just what they see, the published reports? Would it be some kind of developer API that then is the data is transferred automatically to the government agency instead of having to get these PDFs and then get them into their system somehow? So this is really a future thinking, very exciting panel that we're putting together. We hope you'll come and join and join the discussion, really, to make this happen, because we think we can make environmental compliance more effective and efficient if we can all be communicating together. So please join us for that. Also, I wanted to end the poll and talk about the results of the poll. So this is awesome. It's a total mixed bag, okay? We've got pretty much, we've got three companies in the discovery phase. So good job getting here for that. We've got 6 in the investigation option. So great job getting here for that. 4 in the actively testing a few options. 1 utilizing a digital solution, but not perfectly happy with it. And 2 already got their digital solution going on and happy with it. So definitely a mixed bag in terms of where companies are with respect to going from paper to digital. And now, if there are any questions, please pop them into the Q&A. And I would just say, if you are facing a compliance project coming your way, whether it starts next week or starts in 2 months, please contact us and we can talk about how to get that project up on the platform and get you those efficiency gains that we've seen so many times over and over.
Botanical surveys are coming, nesting bird surveys are coming. Now's the time to be setting up for all of those things. And
you know, we do have a nesting bird module already built for compliance. So for that springtime, definitely we can implement that. So. All right, everyone. It looks like we don't have any questions. It looks like everyone got access to that T.I.M.E workbook. And we really, really thank you for joining today. We hope we added some value as you're going through this process. And we hope you work the T.I.M.E framework and are very, very successful.